Oh, so here we are with Mr. David Mason, part two. So part one ended with him having to suspend his studies with FAR and pick up a class. So he'll be eligible to sit for the CPA exam and getting that on his belt and starting a new job with the coveted Big Four, Deloitte to be specific and exact. So he can tell us how he's fitting in, getting acclimated to the work environment out of college and picking up with FAR. So where are you at right now? Are you concentrating on just learning the job, or are you picking up with FAR? What's your game plan or your thoughts?
So the cool thing about the job is that there was a lot of job training that we did. Now it was really fast tracked. There was a lot of fast stuff, but I'm really good at picking up things really fast, and I take a lot of notes. Like nobody can probably read my notes, but I have a lot of notes. Like that's just me. So I have a lot of notes, and I've been doing a lot of training. And because my group is a smaller group, I think I only really work with like 8 people in person when I'm in person. We work a lot, and they're very transparent. They help me out a lot. So because of that, I'm excited because now I can go into my studies knowing that when it's time for me to study at night or in the morning early, I can fully focus on that and be confident in my abilities to be able to perform at work.
Gotcha. And you mentioned Becker, that Deloitte offered that or made that available. Was there any out-of-pocket expense to you, or is an incentive tied to that? How did that work out? Were you familiar with other prep courses, or they just told you about this one? You go, okay. Oh.
Yeah, so that was kind of one of the things that really attracted me to Deloitte, because they really do push the CPA. They want you to get your CPA.
Okay.
They really do push, like, you know, bettering yourself and really working your way up. They definitely, like, you hear people talk about that almost more than they talk about their jobs sometimes. It's just like, I'm really working to get to this level, and if you show this ability, like their biggest thing is like, in order to move up, it's not even really based on a timetable. It's based on if you can perform at the level that you're trying to attain. So I'm at tax consultant level 1. If I want to become consultant level 2, I have to, instead of being able to just do the work, now I have to learn, can I delegate work to people? Can I actually like find the work instead of waiting for it to be found to me? So now that I know that, I'm like, okay, so maybe I can only be at level 1 for this long, rather than maybe it's a year that I have to wait, or 2 years or 3 years. It's actually based on your ability. So I really like that. And it's really based on what group you're in, where it's kind of like that. But I know for PSG, it's really based on your performance. Okay. So I really do like that. And that's why you see a lot of younger people. I mean, there's people that I know that have been promoted twice in a year.
Really?
You know what I mean? Their abilities. And, you know, shout out my guy, Dan. He's my onboarding advisor. He is super smart, and he's only like a year and a half older than me, but he's already at a really high level. And I'm like, man, I can, you know, having that example in front of me really motivates me to be better. So.
Got it. Okay. So is there any incentive tied to the CPA exam, or different passing different sections? Because as we know, it's a 4-part exam.
Right. So for the CPA, their biggest thing that they do for us is all of the study materials are free. They're free to provide that for us. And then once you pass every exam, they'll give you like a certain amount of money they'll give you. So I think for us it's like, I think like 5,000 or something like that if you pass it within your first year of working. And then if you pass it within your second year, you get 3,000. Okay. So I haven't taken a vacation in a while, so I'm trying to get that.
That'll be your goal. It can fund a vacation on the company.
Vacation and save and invest the rest. So.
Got it. Are they willing to reimburse exam fees?
Yeah, so they reimburse the exam fees and stuff like that. If you pass, you got to pass to get it reimbursed, or else. I think it's either you can. That just reminded me. So it's either you get the 5,000 or 3,000, or they'll reimburse your fees and you get another money amount. But it's something like that.
Okay, but it's not totally out of pocket.
No, it's not totally out of pocket. Now, if you fail, it's out of pocket. So I want to want to get right, you know what I'm saying, and not put pressure on myself. And, now that I'm working, with Deloitte now, I'm making a good salary. It's like, if you do fail, it's okay. It happens. It's inevitable. Sometimes it's going to take a longer process, and, there's no losses, just lessons. So, yeah.
That's right. Lessons learned.
Yep. Oh, yeah.
All part of the master plan. Well, I have to ask you, but if you rather not answer, that's fine too. But this channel is to be informative and encouraging and motivate people who are just accountants. Nothing wrong with that. But if CPA is your ultimate goal, and we know the higher you go, the less you do, but the more you make. So you mentioned salary. Do you mind saying what it is or the range? Or because I do know you had an internship or had some connections, so that may have made a difference too. And also now that you graduated, having your degree.
Right.
So
with the salary range, it's, I won't say a number, but if you look up online, you can say I'm probably in the top 15% of men for sure.
Top 15% of what? I'm sorry.
Of like job earners.
Oh, okay. Already. Right out of college? I'm just okay. All right, y'all. I guess we have to do some research now.
Yeah. But they kind of don't tell too much about like our salaries, but okay, we're doing really good.
Yeah, it'll be well worth it. And as you know, he just talked about the upward mobility and all of the possibilities and options you have with your career, where you can be promoted. Right. And I'm assuming that probably comes with salary increases along with the titles.
Yeah. And if any of you guys ever see me, I'll tell you, but I don't know if they want us to say it on camera. I understand. I'll tell you off camera, but yes.
I understand, but I think he's letting you know it's well worth it.
Definitely. I just got my first car, my other car. So I can tell you this. I had a 2003 Trailblazer. It broke down on me a week ago, and I was able to buy a 2022 Chevy Blazer. So that's kind of like,
so you were able to go you can afford a car note. Your credit score was good enough, so we can figure it out from there.
There you go.
Yep. But that's good. So, and also with that being your ultimate goal, and because Deloitte prides itself on grooming accounting professionals to be CPAs, do you feel any pressure? I know whether said or unsaid. Right. In your group, how many people in your group are CPAs? And
so really, it's kind of like half and half, because my group specifically is in tech, like it's in technology and tax. So I feel like for me, I have a little bit more tax background than a lot of people in my group actually, which is pretty interesting. And then I also have a pretty deep tech background as well. But I would say at least like 70% of us, and there's only like 8 of us, so like 6 out of the 8 have it. Okay. You know what I mean? Yeah, something like that. Majority of people have their CPA or at least working towards getting it. That's okay. Got it. But and then the ones that aren't aiming to get the CPA, they also have other plans as well. So it's not like they're just like, oh, I'm not doing it. It's just they're like, oh, I already got this plan figured out where I don't need it. I can go this route. So, yeah.
Okay. Next question leads up. When did you meet your first Black CPA?
Actually, I met my first Black CPA at the Illinois CPA Society event. So I met like 2 or 3 Black CPAs. One was actually from Detroit and grew up like down the street from my grandma's house, which was insane. And I met another Black CPA who was actually a partner at Deloitte. And I'm trying to remember his name off top, and he's gonna kill me because I talked to him for a long time. But it was like 2 years ago when we met. But I remember talking to him specifically about his BMW i8 that he had, and he was a partner, and then how his wife had gotten him Super Bowl tickets. He's based out of Philadelphia, but his wife had gotten him Super Bowl tickets to go see the Eagles play, and they were right on the field, and he got all the exclusive stuff. And we were just talking about that, and he talked about like his path. And then, I got to meet it. And then I've met a few Black women CPAs as well that were doing, tremendous stuff. So, but I mean, it was only like 4 or 5.
Got
And
it.
it was at an event that was specifically for minority CPAs.
Oh, okay. Well, that makes sense. Well, you were so lucky.
Yeah, exactly. Because outside of that, I haven't really met him.
Got
Yeah.
it. Okay. Which is the issue? Because you probably heard the statistic. We make up less than, when I say we Black people make up less than 1% of all CPAs, but I'm just hearing this number creep up, creep up. I'm not quite sure, but
Yeah, and you know, and it's starting to get a little bit better because they're starting to advertise the job now. Because accounting is a job that's always going to be in demand. You're always going to need accountants. There's so many different things you can do with a CPA and an accounting job. So many different routes you can take. Like I never thought I could blend tech with accounting. I never thought about like auditing, like who tests these kinds of stuff. And you know, I had a teacher that did. I think he did like auditing for the government, like governmental audits, like for banks and all kinds of stuff. So there's all kinds of different routes that you can take with a CPA, whether you go the audit route, whether you go cybersecurity, whether you go tax, whether you go tech, advisory. There's just so many different things you can do. But you know, going into the accounting environment, you're not gonna see your fellow Black counterparts as much when you first start out. You gotta look for them. But I personally go out of my way to look for them. Like as soon as I see, you know, a Black sister, a Black brother, I immediately go up to them and introduce myself and what group are you in? Can I get your phone number? I even have a group chat. We at Deloitte University, we all took it upon ourselves to meet each other and we started our own DU Black network like group chat. And we talk all the time if we're dealing with problems, if someone can't figure something out, how to expense something, and just anything, or if they're just stressed about something and need advice, we always hit each other up. So
being that support group,
yeah, definitely.
encouraging each other. That's pretty cool. So since you're already working in the corporate environment as an aspiring CPA, that's pretty cool. I can ask you, get your perspective.
Yeah.
Since you're already in the door. A lot of us, sometimes you get the CPA and you're knocking on the door trying to get in, so you're already there. So what are you seeing in the corporate world as it relates to I'm saying it's trendy. I'm not putting this on you, but diversity, equity, and inclusion.
Yeah.
What do you does the Lord have a campaign?
Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely.
Or an initiative?
Oh yeah, no, they definitely have an initiative. You see, Deloitte. One of the things, looking at my college career, I was actually about to go to I was looking at a couple of HBCUs. Now my sister ended up going the HBCU route, but the HBCUs didn't look at me until like later on, and I was like already signed. And I was like, dang, like I would have totally looked at this. So I made sure my sister went. So
okay, I gotta say something here because I've been following Deion Sanders and Jackson State. Although I'm not a football fan, but just what the attention he's bringing to HBCUs and other people who attended. I think it may have been Michael Strahan or other people. They were saying the HBCUs don't look at them. It's not that those who go off to a D1 school are not considering them. They're saying the HBCUs don't even recruit or reach out until it's too late, or going to what you just said.
Right. So the thing about Michigan, and this is where my little sister, she is amazing. My little sister, Ari Nation, she's studying she's doing biomed with an emphasis in pre-med right now. She's doing way better than me, college tennis and gospel singer, full scholarship. She gets paid at Bowie State University.
Superwoman, okay.
Oh yeah, she's my little sister, but she's amazing. So
that's
I learn stuff from her all the time. So, and I'm sure she'll probably say the same about me, but she's surpassed me for sure. Like she's gonna do great. So, but the thing about HBCUs are they really recruit their state. And Michigan doesn't have any HBCUs. Okay. So if I'm trying to go to certain HBCUs, they would turn me down because they'll say, hey, we're only trying to recruit Philadelphia. Or, hey, we're only trying to recruit our people out of our state. And I'm just like, we don't have any HBCUs. Like, so what do I do if I want to go to one? You know what I mean? And that was kind of late in the process. And I was like, well, I already got this engineering scholarship. I'm just going to take it and go to this school. But I really do wish that I could have had that experience because Deloitte does have a lot of programs. I see them at FAMU all the time. I see them at the one school that I'm not going to name the school, but they went to the one school I was looking at. So I was just like, somehow, some way, I might have found them,
Right.
in that route. So, I definitely, it would have been really cool to get that experience for sure.
Well, since you said you may have found them or they should have sought you out, or we just would have been familiar with it. So what are your thoughts on bridging the gap of the filling that pipeline? Work students, I won't say kids, but those getting ready to go into college or aware of accounting as a major, as a career, and
Yeah.
ultimately becoming a CPA.
Yeah, so that's the thing is I didn't even know what accounting was in high school. And I was really like geeky and nerdy. Like I was like, I don't even know how I was like able to be cool. I guess it was because of my athletic ability, but
Football.
yeah, it was definitely football for sure. But I was super geeky at the same time. So I was always looking at stuff and like I've like heard the name accounting, but I was just like, man, like what makes it attractive? What makes it cool? And now you're starting to see like jobs like my job really start implementing these programs to start talking to kids at the inner city level. Like Michigan State is very rooted with Detroit and inner city and recruiting out of the inner city. And I know Michigan State also has a strong accounting program, and they do a lot of accounting recruiting at the local high schools like Cass Tech and King High School in Detroit. And they do a lot of stuff like that now that I'm seeing now. So you're seeing a little bit more of, you know, ourselves getting recruited. But the main thing is just like, how do we retain more? How do we keep more? And I feel like, honestly, because of we're in a hybrid environment, it kind of makes it seem like, because there's been times I've been in the office and I'm the only one. Like that's gonna happen. But at the same time, I feel like it's almost a responsibility to stay because I know that if somebody sees me here, they might feel like that they can be there too. And I want to be that for somebody, you know what I mean? And I was able to have that example for me, seeing the partner, a black partner. I had never seen that, like ever. So I was just like, wow, like this guy's like a black unicorn. Like this guy did it. I
Right.
want to do that. Like I want to be in WIA. Like how do you do that? And seeing that and talking to him and realizing that this guy is really similar to me. We got the same background. And then talking to fellow black women CPAs and talking about how, oh my gosh, I forget her name, but her husband was so supportive of her while she was working on her CPA, while balancing the job she had and having kids, and hearing her story and almost relating it to, my mom's story with her being a teacher. So just being able to hear their stories and see them be successful, because I think that's the main thing. We want to see not only can you get there, but can you be successful? So we can show examples of us getting there, being successful in a positive image that's actually positive, not just an act, but it's actually is what it is, then I think we'll start getting more retention.
Okay. So how important was it the lady that became your advisor in undergrad?
Yeah.
Would you say that experience or that, I don't know if it was fate that led you down the accounting path, or would you say this is what got you where you are today in your career in the accounting field?
Oh yeah, Dr. Schwartz, she definitely she was kind of like my guardian in school. She made sure like I had everything I needed towards accounting. And I think she just really saw that I cared about my grades. And she was just like, hey, I see this black kid in my class. He just really, really cares and is dialed in. But she didn't just do it for me. She did it for my friend, my younger brothers and my friends. I don't know if they want to be mentioned, but I told them to go see her. And
Okay.
specifically, hey, go see her. She'll get you what you need. This scholarship, go this way, and you can get in. And I mean, she really, and she does it with every student, not just my students, but she really cares. And it's good to see professors these days that really do genuinely care about the outcomes of the students. And I feel like you do get that at a smaller liberal arts school environment, and that's where I was at. Like, there's only 16 people in the class. So.
All right. So would you consider her a mentor? Do you still keep in touch with her today?
Definitely. Yeah. Like I'll email her, let her know how I'm doing. She asked about the CPA. She was happy to hear about the class and then I got it done, that I could pursue it. And my friends that, are also working with her at the school, they were all rooting me on, like, yeah, bro, you're gonna do it. And I was like, yep.
Right.
So log off my social media. I'm gonna keep the YouTube for the Black CPA process videos, but my other videos I just do for fun. But she really helps out a lot, and I appreciate it. So
Do you think that's critical? Because a lot of times the Black experience doesn't come without struggle. And I'll say mine was too. It was like a 4-year process. But do you think we need someone, an advisor, a mentor, or that makes a big difference?
Yeah, I would definitely say so. And I mean, I feel like you can't, I forget what podcast I heard this from. I'm a big podcast, big reader. Um, I forget who said it, but they said you can't have enough mentors.
Okay.
And I feel like everybody can have a mentor. And I feel like specifically with us, we just need, sometimes it might not even be a mentor. We just need somebody to say, you can do this. You just need somebody to believe in you and say, hey, you got the skill sets. I believe you. Sometimes that's all you need, just to hear that for yourself and make it happen. Because part of my thing was just hearing like, oh man, everybody's telling me I can't do this, but actually having somebody say, hey, you can really do this. It kind of sparked life into me and brought that spark back, because like I said, coming from a 2.1 to my highest GPA at Augie being a 3.9. I mean, like, during football season, and then battling COVID and everything with that, like, there was a lot of stuff that I went through, but because I had people that really believed in me and they had that group, and that's what we need. We just need people around us that genuinely believe in us, whether it's tough love, because I think we sometimes do need that tough love too.
Okay.
And that will be like, hey, you're slacking, you need to get back on the right path, and you can do it.
Right. Well, I think so, given what you've experienced so far, just going through college, showing you can persevere and seeing where you've landed already. So that's, as they say, the sky is the limit. The world is right in front of you. You can do whatever you want to do, especially if having CPA behind your name. But before we wrap up, I want to ask you, have you considered pursuing your master's degree? Because I would say for those watching the channel, depending on what state you're in, there are different requirements to sit for the exam. So it sounds like in Michigan, you only need an undergrad degree equivalent to 120 credits, but a lot of states require 150 credits, which is equivalent to basically a master's degree. So do you think you will need that to remain competitive, or what you're hearing, or what are some of your peers saying, or those who are working there? Have you thought about that, or is that something else, hanging over your head? What are your thoughts?
It is something that I think about. And there's two answers that somebody could give you. They could give you there's two answers that you can get. You can get the sugar-coated answer, which is, oh yeah, like you won't need it. But then there's also the question of, okay, the job market is a certain way. You already know that you're a minority. You're gonna most likely need more qualifications to make sure that you can get looked at. And the one thing about me is I already did 4.5 years of school. And because I was already qualified for Michigan, I was like, okay, I'm qualified for Michigan, and then had to take the one extra class. But I was like, I had a job where I met exactly what they needed and was able to perform that and get the job that I got. But I do know that if I was to go into audit, I probably would have needed a master's. If I was to go into like cybersecurity, I would have probably needed my master's. It was just that this specific group was really new, and they really needed employees.
Okay.
So I was able to be like, you know what, this works for me, and I can use what I have already
Got it.
here and get a well-paying job. So that's kind of what I took. So it's really a case-by-case basis. But I also come from the background where my dad told me, you got to outperform everybody, and you got to be twice as good and three. You know the saying.
I understand. You got to do.
So for me, I was just like, I can't just know my job. I got to be able to walk, talk, and chew bubblegum at the same time. I got to be able to do everything.
Right. I was just wondering if you were already thinking long term, or had anybody placed a little bug in your ear saying, okay.
And I did have one professor. He was a white professor. at the Illinois CPA Society, he did tell me one thing that did stay in the back of my mind that made sense. So what a lot of people don't know is I did have an offer to go to a school through the Illinois CPA Society. I'm not going to say which one it was, but I did have a full ride offer for my master's on the table.
Whoa.
Through that program. I actually had it on the table, but I had already had to delay my school one time. And if it wasn't for the job that I already had, and then this guy was like, you have your marketing degree, right? But if you get your master's in marketing, then, I mean, if you get your master's in accounting, it's going to make your marketing degree look diminished in a certain type of way. Because it's like, why didn't you get a marketing in this field? Because I was a double major. So it was kind of like, when he said that, I was like, okay. And then he was just like, in order to be a boss, you don't have to be a master at everything, but you just have to be able to know everything. And he was really rich. I mean, he was a guy, he was an accountant for the White Sox. You know what I mean? He was just telling me that. He was like, you have the social skills to where you could run your own business one day or run your own firm. You know, you're going to might have to use that marketing degree one day. And you don't want to make it look like you didn't focus on it, you know, at all. So that kind of was like the determining factor for me when it came to that. And the fact that I already kind of had a little sense of, I mean, it's accounting, it's a revolving door, in my opinion. So there's never like full security, but I felt secure being that they were on a need-based hiring and that I had the skills. So
and it sounds like you are in control of your destiny within the company. There are so many opportunities and there's some upper mobility.
Right.
You're not limited.
Right, exactly.
Not at this time.
Right. And because of that, and one thing I would advise anybody to do when they start with a firm, ask before you start and while you're, because they're going to recruit you. I was always taught to recruit them. When I was in high school, I had business cards. The coaches would give me a business card. I would give them a business card. Like I was that kind of person. So one of the things that I did was when I was in my interviews, they were recruiting me. I would flip it and start recruiting them. So they're just like, who the heck is this guy? Like, he's asking us like about our firm and what we believe in. And I was like, okay. And I would say things like, I could fit in there. Or, okay, I see myself there. And then they were like, okay, yeah, he can belong there. So what I did was when it came to specifically looking at the upward mobility, I would always ask like, you know, what is your retention rates? I would ask, how quickly can you move up? Because I'm a firm believer of if you're not rising to the surface, you're sinking. You know what I mean? I feel like accounting is a job where it's like, with corporate accounting, you definitely want to keep moving because you make sure that you're a resource to the firm. Because if you're not a resource to the firm, you're easily disposable. So I want to make sure that if I stay at TC1 for 3 years, they'd be overpaying me because they can pay the next college kid a younger rate that I started at, a lower rate that I started at. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna take advantage of the fact that they really need me right now, but I'm gonna make sure I'm at a senior, you know, in 2 years. Like, or I'm trying to get to this level by a certain amount of years and then make a decision on where I go from there. But,
Okay. Well, I know you just were talking about where you could end up or where your career could take you, but thinking a little further out long term, ultimately, what do you think you would like to be or do with your credential? I know you're just getting started, but is your ultimate goal right now, do you think being a partner is an ideal position, or you think you want to branch out on your own and have your own firm, or do you want to go back in the classroom and be a professor? I know that's a lot of you just getting started, but
no, definitely. I like to shoot for the stars and land on the moon. I always dream about stuff. I got journals and all kinds of stuff. So for me, I kind of have 2 plans. Like being a partner is really cool. It's a great responsibility. And it's something that I've just like been exposed to. So now that I've been exposed to like being a partner and what you can do, I'm like, wow, that is really cool. But one thing that I've also learned doing a lot of reading and looking at podcasts is when you do work a job, you're trading your time that you could be working on your own project for a salary that's kind of like your safe space. So it's like they're giving me this salary, and in return, I'm giving them my time that I could be working on making my own thing. And I've always been into music. If people look at my YouTube channel, like I'm a music producer and stuff like that. My dream would be to start a record label. Like I know how to do all the finances. I know how to market. I already use social media marketing to make my music production stuff profitable during the pandemic, which was a blessing because that helped me out in college a lot. So that would be like my dream, to be like a record executive with actually like a CPA kind of background, because I believe we spoke about it, but I told you about the Imagine Theater, the movie theater company that's really big in Michigan. Mm. The guy that started that chain started it with just a CPA and a loan. So I was like, if that guy could use that to start an entertainment business, why not? And I just saw that going to go to a movie, and I was like, wait a minute, CPA, that's what I'm studying for. And I just never paid attention to the opening credits.
Cool. Okay. Well, the final question. So, and you mentioned that your name, you said the third, David Mason the third. So you already got that suffix and carrying on the legacy there with your family name. But what will it mean to you to have CPA behind your name as well?
It will mean a lot, because the first thing is, it's like before me, every man in my family either had some stint of military. It was because my dad had some college, and then before my dad, it was military, slave. So, I mean, and that's just the reality for a lot of, Black families. And you're looking at that, and you're like, man, like, and before that, you look at that. So for me, it's just like, to not only be the first one to graduate from college, first Black man to graduate from college, but to be able to have CPA behind the name, like, it just looks cool, first of all. Like, it just looks really cool. It's like, wow, like, that's really cool. But also, I think it would really mean a lot for my family, because it's just to know where we started from, where we came from, to where, my family members, they went out and fought and weren't even accepted back when they came back, to now being able to be like, hey, when you see the name David Mason, when you see the Mason family name, you see a certification behind that name that really means something that you can't take away, something that was earned, not given. That's my biggest thing, earning it, not giving it. And, and something that'll be positive, because there's not a lot of positivity. Unfortunately, negativity sells. And you know what I'm saying? But to see that positivity, and for a lot of my friends and people that know me to know where I started from and came from, and my family, it would mean everything. So.
Well, I think you're on your way to obtaining those coveted credentials. You've shown us that you can start out on one track and you can end up in accounting. Who knew, right?
Yeah, exactly. Like, I never thought I would be in the office. So this is, yeah.
But this just goes to show you, God's will always play out. You just follow the will of God, or the path He set for you, and you'll end up on the right track. So thank you, Mr. Mason, for taking time out of your schedule to share your story and motivate us and inspire us, those of us in the accounting field and just getting started. So thank you for being my featured guest, and I look forward to having you back so we can spotlight you as a CPA, and you can tell us what big things you're doing and what the journey was and how you got through it, because we know it's a 4-part exam that you got to buckle down for. But I think you already having a background work in football when you were talking about how you pick up on things fast, and I think that was probably part of this whole plan, or how that played into how things unfolded for you, because I guess you're probably familiar or know, I've heard no huddle offense, so you just got to get out there and just go, right? Slap your hands and just go, or something, right? Clap, and you got to know.
I was on defense, so we had to react to what they were doing when they went no huddle.
Right. So you're able to pick up on things. So that skill set on the football field, you're able to translate in the classroom and now in the office. So it just goes to show you, everything builds on itself.
Mhm.
And it works itself out. So thanks for sharing your story. Share how you can be a student athlete and not necessarily, although you said you were a nerd or nerdy, you know,
Oh, for sure. Yeah, still am.
but you can be well rounded. You know, you can come from being an athlete and still end up in corporate America. See
Yeah.
how cool is that? So again, your story is inspiring and I wish you the best. And again, thank you for your time. And also that's fantastic about you graduating. I know your family was extremely proud of you
Yeah.
graduating with that degree. So congratulations with that. That's wonderful. So stay focused. Let me know how you do it. And like I said, we definitely want to have you back and let us know how the process is going as you start taking these exams. So again, so to the YouTube audience, remember who you are and whose you are, and there's no time like the present. See you next time.